This is Dr. Lisa Marie Bobby, and you're listening to the Love, Happiness, and Success Podcast. When I was a really little kid, my mom used to be really into Hall & Oates, and that fact in itself really freaked me out. She would play Hall & Oates really loud in our house and walk around singing, and for some reason, I always wanted to hide whenever she did it, but I've gotten over it and have come to appreciate them as an adult. But that is not why we're here today, is to talk about my relationship with Hall & Oates. Nope, today we are here to talk about Valentine's Day, and here you're going to get it straight, because Valentine's Day, it can be lots of fun. It can be all good things. And also, what nobody else talks about, apparently, is how hard Valentine's Day can be. Leading up to it, people can have a ton of anxiety. And depending on how you handle Valentine's Day, it can lead to so many problems in a relationship. And I know this because I'm a marriage counselor. And so I sit with people in the aftermath of Valentine's Day. And anyway, so I am here to help you with Valentine's Day. It's going to be okay. So that's what we're talking about today. But first of all, just a couple of quick announcements. There's a party going on February the 15th. Empty Girlfriend is hosting their Galentine's Day event. So if you're not doing anything, this coming Sunday, February the 15th, at the Savoy at Curtis Park, come check it out. They're having live comedy and some music and relationship advice from our very own Megan Terry. She's going to be there talking and answering questions and giving people some good love advice. So be sure to check that out. Not only is it free, but if you do decide to donate anything, all the proceeds from the event go to a women's shelter in Denver. So it's all good stuff. And then also, by the time you're hearing this podcast, it might be too late to register for the latest Love That Lasts a Lifetime class that's starting tonight in Denver. However, we are going to be having another class that starts on March the 28th. We're going to be doing it on Saturday mornings this time. So if you are getting married, or even if you're in a place where you're just in a relationship and you feel like you could need some extra, help in just learning how to communicate, learning what you need to do to not have conversations turn into an argument, getting on the same page around stuff like finances, household tasks, and just kind of how to learn how to stay in a good place with your relationship, but you're not maybe quite ready to pull the trigger and go all the way to counseling, come to our class. It's called A Lifetime of Love. It meets for 6 weeks. Megan Terry also teaches it, and we're holding that at our Cherry Creek office, and it's really good. So go to our website and check that out if you want to have more information on A Lifetime of Love. So, okay. That's all for my announcements. Let's jump into our topic of the day. Valentine's Day. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, I don't want to be a total sourpuss. Valentine's Day can be wonderful, and a lot of people have a really good time with Valentine's Day. It can be a very happy occasion and just an excuse to shower each other with love, and that's all good things. So I certainly don't want to ruin anybody's happiness in the holiday, because it can really be a lot of fun. But I think that there are reasons when it can still be a lot of fun, but I think that it's just a fragile kind of holiday, a uniquely fragile holiday, because Valentine's Day has some weird baggage and associations attached to it. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, just to understand what's going on with that, what the possible pitfalls of Valentine's Day are, and then how to negotiate them so that you too can have a fun and happy Valentine's Day this year. So let me just tell you, this comes from my own personal experience. I've been a marriage counselor for 10 years now, right? And the day after Valentine's Day, like shrinks all over Denver, my phone starts ringing. And it does a number on so many people. I have single clients crying on my couch, agonizing about what makes them so unlovable and why are they still single. People who are grieving, people who have lost someone or have recently ended a relationship. Valentine's Day can bring up a lot of difficult feelings of grief and loss. And also, it can really do a number on couples. I have people come into my office and silently move the pillows on my therapy couch to the center and then squish themselves into the corners, sitting as far apart as possible on opposite sides of this puffy pillow barricade and just not talking to each other. And it can take weeks to comb out this mess of assumptions and hurt feelings and anxiety that couples become ensnarled in on the 14th of February. And some couples don't recover until Easter. It can take that long, but it doesn't have to be that hard. It really depends on the way you go into it. And there's, I think, some gender differences when it comes to Valentine's Day. So Men really want to get Valentine's Day right. They really do. Particularly if they are in a relationship where they know that whatever they do on Valentine's Day is going to be not judged, but taken as some sort of statement about what our relationship means by what Valentine's Day looks like, Men have a hard time with this because they wind up simmering for weeks in this adrenaline broth of stress leading up to Valentine's Day. And some people, guys in particular, can have this like almost paralyzing anxiety. Like, what do I do for Valentine's Day? Some guys give up in advance and take their power back by choosing to fail and not doing anything, or, showing up with one of those weird paper roses from the gas station. Or they start to feel bitter about like this pressure and expectations. And then any participation in this big day can get colored by this almost sullenness, like when they feel like they have to do Valentine's Day. And it sort of takes all the fun out of it. And so, guys, I get it. There's a lot of anxiety when it comes to Valentine's Day. But I'm going to be giving you some advice about how to kind of come back down from that anxiety and start thinking about what to do as a way to show your love genuinely and in a warm way without feeling pressured, without feeling anxious, and in a way that your partner can feel it, whether it's your lady or your fella, whatever, it's all good. But I just want you to feel more in control of this holiday. And for women, Valentine's Day can drip with heavy meaning, especially if a relationship has been feeling a little bit fragile. People get like really hyper focused on what is happening on Valentine's Day because it turns into, whatever happens becomes, quote, the statement of our love. And people, women can really kind of gauge the health of their relationship or almost like the way that their partner feels about them by what happens on Valentine's Day. And, a lot of women, I think, crave, and this is a broad generalization. I'm certainly not one of these women, but I see it in my practice, so that's why I'm saying it, is that some women really crave these romantic gestures. They just want so badly to know that they're important and that they're loved, and they want to feel cherished. And so they wait for these moments for their guys or gals, whatever, to impress them, to sweep them off their feet with these kind of orchestrating experiences that really make them feel special and make them feel important. And it can be so hard because sometimes people can have a lot of hopes, therefore, about what Valentine's Day is going to be like. And so if Valentine's Day doesn't match that idealized daydream, they can get so disappointed and feelings get hurt, and their partners might not even know why their feelings are hurt. Maybe their partners tried really hard to make it be a good day for them, a nice day, but it still didn't meet up to this hope, this fantasy of what it could have been. And so then it ruins the whole day, and it breaks hearts, and I think that it's not just what happens in a couple. I think that in some ways, we as a society, we get set up to fail on Valentine's Day, because all of the marketing and the visuals and everything that we see on Facebook about how amazing everybody else's Valentine's Day is, it starts to set up these unrealistic expectations of how we should be loved. And if you can just take a step back from it and take a look, there are $1 million marketing campaigns that teach us what to expect, like a car or diamond jewelry or gorgeous bouquets of flowers or vacations. Or people really going over the top. This is what we see for Valentine's Day. This is what's on the commercials, or this is what is like the amazing stuff that gets shared 5 zillion times on social media. And when we just think about these things that are in our, public domain, we can kind of get the impression that everyone else in the world is doing something super special and amazing on Valentine's Day. And then when the, just sheer banality of our own experience doesn't match this vision of what it should, quote, should be like, then we start to feel like something is wrong. Something is wrong with us or with our partners or with our relationships, and that can create this hurt feeling and also just this anxiety. And even with children, I know that everybody has probably had this experience, but even kids, it goes into comparisons. I remember being in elementary school, and I think that this is probably in the days before we had mandatory Valentine giving. From what I understand now, you have to bring Valentines for everybody in the class. But back when I was a youngster, listening to Hall & Oates with my mother, thank you very much, Valentine's Day wasn't like that. And so like the really popular kids, they got like zillions of Valentines, and we had to make these like little Valentine's Day mailboxes, and everybody would walk around the room and like put Valentines in the little mailboxes. And it was like a total popularity contest. I remember looking at little kids, and there was one little kid in my class who got like 3 Valentines, and it was just the most heartbreaking thing. And so it's just this like statement of, your worth when it comes to Valentine's Day. And so as children, we're primed to like expect a lot and look to Valentine's Day for evidence of how much people like us or love us. And so Valentine's Day has a lot of baggage, and it's fraught with meaning. And as a therapist, I'm just going to go ahead and say this because you'll probably get the slant from this podcast anyway. I am not a fan of Valentine's Day. I don't think it's good for people unless you're able to do it in a really healthy, nice way. And so that's what we're going to be talking about, is what does healthy and authentic and genuine Valentine's Day look like, and how do we separate ourselves from those fantastical ideas of what Valentine's Day should be. So here are a few tips about what to do if you want a Valentine's Day that is genuinely meaningful and really genuinely fun and joyful, and not just another angstful opportunity to be upset with yourself or upset with your partner or anxious or get into a big fight about what Valentine's Day wasn't, right? The biggest, most important thing that you can do to just take your control back over Valentine's Day and decide that you're going to have a great day this year is to really, really, really get yourself excited about the idea that Valentine's Day is an opportunity for you to give love to others. And I know that that sounds kind of elementary, but let me think about it a little bit, because when we think about Valentine's Day, it gets caught up in all of these expectations, and it turns into, how is my gift going to be received? Or how will I be loved? And that is what we focus on. But if you can flip that into what would make me feel good about giving, and really just have it be only about giving love to other people, and have it be really around radical selflessness and deciding to be an ambassador of love all day long, you can take your power back and also feel really good on Valentine's Day. And so this can happen in a general, global kind of sense, and it can also happen at the relationship level. But really, step number one, I want you to brainstorm a list of all of the ways that you could show the people in your life that you care about them and that you love them in ways that are meaningful to them. And that's the punchline right there, is because what is special and important and meaningful to you isn't necessarily special and important and meaningful to other people in your life. So just take a minute and do some brainstorming and think about your friends, your family, your mom, as well as your partner, and just think about how you can show these people that you love them and that you care about them. Pause me for a second. What would delight them? And it does not have to be Valentine's Day related. Let's be a little bit more creative than that. So, let's get rid of cards and flowers and chocolates. Like, what would actually tickle them and make them feel pleased? If you want to bring even more joy into your day, think about some ways that you could just spread love around the world in general, because that is what will make it a super exciting day. So it means putting a little Post-it note underneath somebody's windshield telling them that they're a good person and you hope that they have a good day. Or, buying the Starbucks of the guy in the line behind you. I mean, those little kinds of things. There's research I've seen. I loved this study. Researchers gave a group of people, two groups of people actually, a happiness inventory, and then they gave them like $5, $10. And the first group of people, they told to spend that money on themselves. Here you go, $10, do whatever you want with it. And then they rated their happiness again. In the second group, they said, here's $10 and I want you to spend this money on somebody else, and then gave them another happiness inventory. And the differences in their perceptions of feeling happy were huge between the group that spent the money on themselves versus the group that spent that money on somebody else. The group that spent money on other people had much more happiness, like genuine, longer lasting happiness. The first $10 people, they get a coffee and a pound cake or whatever, and they're done. But I mean, the people who got to spend money on somebody else, you get to plan it, you get to see somebody else's reaction. I mean, just the joy that comes from that is much, much more than anything that you can do for yourself. So if you really embrace that energy and think about how you can spread that love around a little bit, you're going to have a good day in general. Now, it gets a little bit trickier when it comes to your actual Valentine, your number one Valentine. And that is a whole other ball of wax. So the next series of tips that I'm going to give to you are going to be around how to have that be a better experience. So step number one, decide to be generous. And just in general, decide to be generous. But step number two, I think that it's really important, if you're going to have a good Valentine's Day, before you do any sort of gift giving for your particular Valentine, think about their values. And I know that this sounds weird because I'm not saying, what just would make them happy or what would they like to have. But when you are able to give a values-based gift, that is when your gift or whatever you do becomes really, really meaningful to that person. Because if the golden rule is do unto others as you would have done unto you, the platinum rule is do unto others as they would like to have done to them. So again, we can't think about our values and the things that make us happy when we're designing an experience or a gift for another person. We really have to see the world through their eyes and think about what makes them happy and what makes them feel good in a way that's congruent with their values. So values. Let's talk about values for just a second. If I were to ask you what your top 5 values were, just yours, what would they be? And so you could think about, my top 5 values are my family, or financial security, adventure, love, health, spirituality, order. I mean, it could go on and on and on, but think about what your top 5 values are. Pause me if you need to. And now I want you to think about what your partner's top 5 values are, as evidenced by the things they say, the things they do, the things that they've shared with you. And just write that down for a second, because it's important to notice, and I just wanted you to look at this for a second, that your values might not be the same as those of your partner. And so if you can really think about what their values are, is it health? Is it family? Is it financial security? If your partner's number 1 value is really financial security, it's a bad idea to spend $20,000 on a diamond tennis bracelet for them. You know what I mean? However, if your partner really values financial security, doing something that respects that, having a lovely day, maybe that doesn't cost a lot of money, but also letting them know that you wanted to do something that would be inexpensive, but also a lot of fun for them because of wanting to honor their value for frugality. And this brings us to step 3. And really, once you've figured out what your partner's values are, then you can move into designing a thoughtful expression of your love. And this one is a lot, and I know that both men and women give gifts on Valentine's Day, and that's wonderful. But I'm kind of speaking to the guys right now who might feel a lot of anxiety around Valentine's Day because of that really wanting to get it right and not really knowing how. And so when you get clear on your partner's values and know what direction you want to aim at, like if your partner, if your wife or if your girlfriend, if her values are around adventure, or let's just stick with adventure. That's kind of the category that that you'll want to design an expression of your love, something in that area. But then that step 3 is, it's not just understanding what their values are, it's coming up with something that is a thoughtful expression that is in line with those values. And I tell you what, the most important kinds of gifts, and the ones that always go over well, are ones where you have given it some thought. And I say this again as a marriage counselor, and I see this over and over and over again. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to, you just have to think about it. Because knowing that you thought about them is what women really want more than anything. And if you base something, a gift, a Valentine's Day expression of love, on just putting some effort into it, that is what will make it special and important. So if your partner's value is adventure, it could just be something as simple as planning a hike and then having a picnic lunch at the top of a nice overlook. That is really all that it has to be, but that you took the initiative and you planned that day. If you know that your partner's value is in that romance, just to be thoughtful about it. It might be wonderful to go buy her a dress, plan the event, figure out where you're going. And women, they want more than anything, a lot of the time, for guys to simply just take charge and put effort into it and be thoughtful about it. And just the fact that you are thinking about them is what will melt their hearts more than anything else. So that is my Valentine's Day advice to you. So don't let anxiety paralyze you. Just think about really who your partner is and what she would really, really enjoy. And now let me turn this around. And I know that this is kind of turning into a gender role sort of thing, but I do talk to a lot of women in my practice who have expectations around Valentine's Day and who accidentally wind up ruining Valentine's Day when they allow their expectations around what it should be or what you deserve to become more important than the feelings of the person you're in a relationship with. You know, if you get a potted orchid and your best friend gets a trip to Greece, and you start going down a road like, I'm not as loved as she is, you're going to feel entitled to make your partner feel terrible because you're feeling hurt. And if you go down that road, you will have a horrible day and you'll make your partner feel like crap. And honestly, it's going to make it a lot harder for him to give to you in the future if he has a bad experience of giving to you. So, don't look at the gift. Don't look at, what does this mean about me? What does this mean about our relationship? Look at this as an opportunity to strengthen your love through compassion and empathy, because you might be in a situation where your man isn't listening to this podcast, you are, and so he might not have gotten the memo about attaching a gift to your values and being thoughtful of you. And if that is the case, you need to be appreciative of the values through which your partner shows their love for you, even if they're different than yours. So if you want a glittery bracelet and he shows up with a mountain bike, you can view his offering as the ultimate expression of love in his language, if that's what he's into. It's like you're, this might sound worse than I mean it to. I'll say it anyway. Like if your pet cat comes home with a mouse as a love offering and plops it on your doorstep and is looking at you like he's the greatest cat ever. Sometimes when people give gifts to you, if you look at it that way, that from their values, from their perspective, this really was a wonderful gift. And just because it doesn't match what you had hoped for doesn't mean that it wasn't a genuine expression of love. So that is something important to think about. And if you hold on to that thought and look at whatever happens through the values of your partner, I think that'll go a long way to help you feel better about whatever your Valentine's Day ends up looking like. And also, for everybody out there in the sound of my voice, I would really like for you to back away from Valentine's Day, because it can come such a lightning rod, a focal point. Like whatever happens on this day is going to be a measure of our relationship in general, right? Back away from that and instead focus on your partner's daily expressions of love for you rather than getting hung up on one day. Because when you focus on the fact that maybe you haven't scraped the ice off your own windshield for 5 years, or you haven't ever cleaned a litter box, like your partner takes care of all of that, or cleaned a toilet, or, all of the other tiny little ways that your partner might show you that they love you, making you food, taking care of things for you, sitting and talking to you and spending time with you at the end of the day. That will turn a humble Valentine's Day gift into the cherry on top of a big bowl of daily awesomeness. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the gifts, it's not about these special occasions, it's about the fabric of our relationship and how generous we are with each other day to day. That's really what makes a good relationship. So there is some advice for you on how to have a better Valentine's Day this year. So increase your overall feelings of joy just by deciding to be an ambassador of love on this day. Secondly, get clear about your partner's values. Think about what your values are and think about what their values are so that you can either give or receive gifts from a value standpoint and really understanding where people are coming from. And then if you do give, make sure that it is a very thoughtful kind of present and put more time into designing it than anything else, because that is what will make it a hit. It's not the money, it's not the object, it's not what you do or don't do, it's the effort that goes into it. So remember that part. And then lastly, focus more on daily generosity. Have a little Valentine's Day every day and think about all the ways and that you and your partner show love to each other for all the other 364 days of the year, so that you can put Valentine's Day in perspective as just one day of many in which you show each other love. Okay, everybody, have a good time on Valentine's Day, and let's listen to some more Hall & Oates.
Subject to change.